Hello, everyone. Welcome to our interview series. And we are so excited.
So excited.
To get to have a little bit of play time and fun time with the fabulous, wonderful, amazing Becki Koon. So, with no further ado, let me go ahead and introduce her. She's in the backstage right now, hanging out. She's also dancing. All right, Becki Koon, stepstone to you at gmail.com and 406-360-2211. Becki Koon is an international best-selling author and speaker, heart-based energy intuitive, Holy Fire 3, Karuna Reiki master teacher, heart math coach, life coach, theta healer, crystal healer, and ULC minister.
I think that's all
of it. I think that's all of it. That's all of it. Through her business stepstone, Becki empowers people to seek their inner wisdom, holding space for them to discover and grow into the next highest version of themselves. She does this through a compassionate, loving presence. Becki views her service as a sacred offering, a gift from God. Becki's work evolved in a way she never expected when her husband of 12 years passed. Now, in sessions, Becki receives support and guidance from him, Jesus, angelic guides, family of light, other people's guides, loved ones who've passed, Gaia, and ascended masters. I think that's also all of them. Channeling is a gift, she says, helped save her life from the depths of grief and personal challenge. Being in service to others has given Becki an outlet for the compassionate wisdom she gained. Conscious death, afterlife channeling, and self-love through a cancer diagnosis changed her life, work, and very essence. She vows to continue using the gifts she was encouraged to remember and offers to the world her passion for living in sacred and divinely guided life. She thanks God for every breath she takes and is honored to offer that divine energy to her clients. Without further ado, Becki Koon.
Wow, that was like a lot.
I know.
Wow.
It's funny when you hear yourself back to yourself and you're like, wow, I did some things.
I did that?
I did that.
Wow. I want to go see her.
I'm gonna just say hi to some of our friends showing up here. Okay. Hi, Delora. She is thinking about being in her upcoming book, Guided by Spirit. Cool. So that registration is open, you guys, if you want to get out there and sign up at asyouwishpublishing.com/collaboration. And our fabulous Joe McMonagle. Oh my gosh. So Joe is one of our newest authors. Like Becki has published with us in the past, and he is one of our newest friends. So Joe, stick around because we might be asking Becki a couple of these publishing questions as well. Oh, we've got another new author also, Mayum. Hi, honey. She is still in process and working on her manuscript now. Okay. So very much looking forward to that. Also a medium and a channeler. So many good things. Yeah. All right. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Becki.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be with you guys tonight. Well, it's night here. And just have a conversation about what's been going on in the world and us and with me and with you and our books.
I love it. Todd?
Yeah.
I think we have a few questions for Becki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those up so that we have them in front of us here.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's introduce her book first.
Sure.
Like the book we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Good idea.
Thanks. Thanks for your support,
yes.
Becki.
Yeah. So, the book that I would like to speak to and what we're talking about tonight is called 20 Days Changed Everything. A love story, moving from, conscious death process to afterlife connection. And it is in relation to my journey with my husband, who was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And we had 20 days to go through the process of his leaving And then it was the journey that I had 9 months after, and the things that were taking place with me, with the process I went through of awareness and grief and joy, and the things that I was experiencing in connection with him. So I ended up writing a book. We knew the book was coming. In fact, before Jack passed, my husband was Jack. Before he passed, we talked about the fact that we knew I had a book in me. We thought it was going to be something different. Like I really thought I was going to be writing about my son, which I have a very unique journey with my son. But the book that I really was to write first was this journey with him. And so the fact that I was able to journal during the process with him and write what was happening in the moment, and then being able to process again for the next few months and be able to write it for people and then actually channel write with him is a huge gift that you guys offered to, like, you had the ability to offer that for me to step in and actually put it out into the world, which was huge for me because it was so deeply personal and emotional. Mm-hmm. So it's that journey, it's that book that I'm super excited to share with others.
But I love that. I love that.
I had the pleasure of copy editing Becki's book, and it was not only eloquently written, but the amount of soul. It's hard to even find words for it, but it was such a soulful journey. It had dignity. It had such dignity. The 20 days prior, the diagnosis, the 20 days, and then what happened after. I mean, it did so much. It was very emotional for me even to even copy edit it. And there was lots of gifts in it. There was lots of feelings. There was lots of grief. I'm sure I was processing some things just by reading it. And it was just very, very unique. And there's so many things I could say, but I'll just say one more thing and just say that one of the things I think I appreciated the most, besides the vulnerability in it, was that it really, one of the things I really appreciated about it, or I took from it, was that it really helped to kind of dissolve the walls about death. Yeah. That's what I appreciated, among many things. It's like, it doesn't have to be that. It's painful, absolutely, of course, but it's not an end. It's just a transition.
Right.
And that's so well illustrated in the book. And for it could really, I could see it really doing many things for people, in addition to helping them to understand that it's a transitional process and not an end point forever. Yeah. And life goes on, kind of thing, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It was important to both Jack and I. And you read that in the channel writings afterwards when Jack came back to me. It was very important that we helped people know that it isn't an end. Like he told me, death is a lie in that sense. Yeah, we may leave the physical form, but that's it. The life force is very vibrant and alive and never ending. And so that journey for me to discover that and to step into that and what that meant for me still being here and dealing with all of the human stuff that I had to deal with in that process of not only saying goodbye, but then afterwards. But thank you, Todd, because that was a really important piece that we wanted people to understand, that it is just a transition, that they're right here, that our loved ones are near. They're not in some, obscure place. It's just right with us, around us. And so thank you. That I'm glad that came across.
Oh yeah.
Good. Yeah, it did.
It really did. This is the book that I recommend to anyone that is going through a grief process, any kind of grief process where they've had a loss of a loved one, even though this is spousal, it's still To me, I still think that it can apply to anyone that might be going through something like this, but specifically and certainly for those people who are where a partner is crossing over. So it's very powerful work. Yeah. Let me see what does Joe say. Sounds like you had to say goodbye and then hello in a new way. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye to a physical form and then hello to this beautiful light being energy form. And yet learning how to navigate the subtle realm and the subtlety of what that kind of relationship was like. But inviting it in and being open to that, being open to the fact that I could actually still have connection, that was a reality, that wasn't something that was just in my imagination. It wasn't. It was very tangible and just showed me the beauty of us as humans, how we have the ability to adapt and to understand change and transition and to move into something new. And it doesn't have to be, scary, or it's for everyone. Everyone has the ability to do it. It's not just me or certain people. Every one of us have the ability to tap in and to recognize that we have the gift of connection. It doesn't go away.
It really doesn't. I can speak from my own experience with that as well.
Yeah, very reassuring messages.
Absolutely. And I dare say, if you start feeling or sensing someone, it's interesting, like for me, how it shows up for me is usually in dreams, where someone will pass, and then it's usually a period of time. Sometimes it's around 3 months or so. And suddenly they come into my dream and they're just saying, hi, I'm fine. I'm okay. And I'm always waiting for that moment when they do. I let it go. I do my own grieving process and everything. But then I don't even think that I consciously look for it, because I think then we find what we're trying to look for in a way. It's more something that just kind of happens. And I'm like, oh, there you are. You're fine. And then I can kind of release and let go even deeper, doesn't necessarily mean the grief goes away completely. And, I never think about it again. And, but it's kind of for me, it's just a little bit that way. So I think everybody can tap in their own way and may not even realize. Yeah.
Right. Well, and it can be events like, a song pops on the radio and all of a sudden they're there, you're thinking of them and they're there, or you find a feather when you're, that is symbolic of something, or, there's all kinds of things and all kinds of signals and messages we get all the time. We just don't really pay attention sometimes to that. We don't recognize that spirit speaks to us constantly. Constantly. So it's just a matter of us being aware and understanding that, it's possible.
We have some burning questions.
Mm-hmm. You do? Ooh, good.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and find out what our burning questions are. So, Todd, would you like to take the first one? First question?
Becki, in your book, you talk about Jack's decision to walk out of the hospital without treatment. Mm-hmm. How did you find the strength to accept his decision without any question?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's like it was how I've had a lot of people ask me that since he left. And I recognize that we had this really deep spiritual connection in life. Like, that was part of our relationship, was that we were steeped in potential and possibility and spirit. And so I think that helped. But I knew so much, like, we've been together before. We recognized each other. We felt like old souls together. And when he said, I'm leaving, I did not question him, even though knowing what that meant, like knowing the potential of that decision, and what we might be facing. And yes, I was in shock, but I was also in complete surrender to love and complete surrender to his ability to make choice, and then support him in that. And it not an easy thing to do. It's like, I left fully knowing that me supporting him was probably me saying goodbye. And yet that kind of compassionate love allows for that kind of experience and that kind of decision or that kind of acceptance. And so I tell people the greatest form of love that I have ever experienced is loving and letting go. Loving someone through letting go.
Ah, oh boy, letting people have their choice when it's this seemingly this big, right? It's like it's I think Todd and I talk about it semi regularly about it's just like walking from one room into another, and I think about how that will be for me and that kind of thing, but it's like I would have a hard time if he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check out. I would be like, I'll be like calling my friend Becki.
Yeah, get on the line.
I'll be like, wait a minute. I'll be using our new business line. I'm just kidding. But it would be so incredibly challenging. Yeah.
Well, and it's, how do we learn to accept that we're sovereign beings, right? And that we all have this our own connection to source and our own connection to our higher awareness and our journey. We all have a unique connection, and can we find that capacity of love, that kind of compassion that allows for that person to step into choice like that? And I was able to find it in that moment. And but again, it wasn't easy. I had my times when I was just like, please, please, please don't let it be this. And yet every step of the way I was behind him. Yeah.
And I think that's being a support in that way, I think takes a tremendous amount of pressure off of him. It would have taken that pressure off of him. Like, I have to stay for her. I have to go through this pain for her, or something like that. And I couldn't imagine, putting that on to him to say you have to.
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, I do think, it was such a short period of time. Some people, it's like sudden, like they lose people suddenly, and then others, it's months or years, right, of someone's body letting go or that process. But I think me actively being able to help him and say, I'm with you. It's, your decision. I will be there every moment. I will be with you and I will help you. And being able to do that for him allowed him to do the work then internally for him to start letting go. Like, I really believe that assisted the process, because he didn't have the pressure. Like, as much as he didn't want to, it wasn't that he wanted to leave. It wasn't that, but he knew it was inevitable. He knew his journey. And so for him to be able to then step into the process of death, of letting go of physical form, was much easier for him, knowing that he had my support and full attention to that.
Girl. I want to show you guys the book while we're here, so that you can see what we're talking about. She does have it out on Amazon. If you'll give me one moment. And it is here. 20 Days Changed Everything, a love story, moving through conscious death to afterlife connection. So head out to Amazon. You can grab it on Kindle. If you do have Kindle Unlimited, you can definitely get it there as well. And also you can get it on paperback as a paperback copy also. And Audible.
And she has it on Audible.
Audible. Todd,
See-
you helped her with that.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, we worked together and did her audiobook
Did.
as well. And Becki
Yeah.
recorded it herself, so you get to hear her reading it, which I think is way more powerful.
Agreed.
It was quite the process going through that too. reading
Right?
it myself.
That's like
again,
a whole other
you know,
level, right?
whole another level. Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel her emotion in it for sure. Yeah.
Which I think is really beautiful. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that the part of the awareness that it is an intense book. I realize that it's not something that's necessarily an easy read, but it's certainly something that we all are going to experience. The passage of someone of love, or the passage of a pet, or the passage of a any coworker or friend. We all experience it. And so the hope of what happened in the months afterwards is really, our goal was to help people not feel quite so abandoned or feel quite so alone, that everyone has the ability to do this. And so, if people can get through the first part to the second part, which is where the exploration starts happening and the awarenesses start taking place, I think it's really beautiful because again, we all experience it in some fashion.
I consider it being more well prepared emotionally in a way, just having gone through that so intimately with you. I feel like I was going through it because you shared your experience so intimately. It's not like some other experiences I've had. Well, I haven't had that happen, thankfully, but I have had it happen with other relatives when I was younger, and it's a little bit different when losing my words. There's so many emotions.
I know. I'm like, I've got tears in my eyes and the whole thing.
Yeah. It's all getting me back in my emotional brain. But when you bring such vulnerability to it and you share the process, it's different from maybe like how I've experienced it in the past, where it's kind of handled differently when it's say through other people or family members or relatives. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. It's just they honor them and everything. I just think that this is a little bit more of a embraced process of trying to do the thing, and I just don't think people know that you can do what you did.
I've actually had, I've had people say that, we're taught to fight so hard, and we're taught to like hang on and and it's all good, it's all okay, right? But we do what we do, but it's also okay to say, okay, this is what we're doing. We're gonna let go, and we're gonna figure out how to do that. We're gonna figure out how to navigate this letting go process, and we're gonna do it in the best possible way. I wanted to be able to empower him to be able to make his journey home be as empowered as it could be for him. So
that's a very that's empowerment. That's the strongest definition of empowerment that I've ever heard, which is empowering someone to leave on their terms. And helping them through it despite the discomfort it'll bring up for you. But and that's true compassion, is allowing people to have their choices. So that and being able to write to that while you're going through that's love for sure. I mean, that's a very high definition of it. It's not a convenient definition of love. It's very much I love you so much that I'm willing to withdraw all my expectations, withdraw all my control, and to be there with you. And I was there with you in my feelings.
In my heart.
In my heart, when I was seeing how the struggles and things too. So that's definitely compassion. And I mean, gosh, wouldn't it suck to make Jack emotionally responsible for you, like handling your emotions in any way while he's going through that?
Yeah.
That would be a rough
It's hard
burden for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Joe's saying, I've known too many who plead with their loved one to stay around. Some of my family were that way when my father was dying. Such courage to support Jack where he was in his journey. Beautifully said, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think, people get scared. They know they're going to miss them. We know that the energy, our lives will be forever changed when someone leaves this planet. And so learning how to shift and recognize that we can have other relationship, we can have other connection. It's just different. And yeah, do I miss him horribly? Yes, I've missed him horribly, but I'm also moving on in my life, which he has so encouraged me to do. And he was encouraging me when I was diagnosed with cancer 20 months later. And, I'm in that journey myself, and life and death, and questioning, do I stay? Do I go? Is this my ticket out? Is this, there was just so much happening in those years that to be able to realize that, okay, well, I'd already written the book that Jack and I went, the 20 days, right? I'd already written that. Then I stepped into my own journey with that. And yet Jack's saying, you can't, it's not your time. You can't leave, Becki. We have more work to do, right?
Yeah, we were saying that too. Neither one of us were wanting to give you that choice.
Right. Everybody saying, Becki, come on, Becki. But to realize that we still have connections that, we may not be done with them. They may not be done with us, and it may be expressing in different ways. And so it's not like relationship just dissolves. It doesn't. Yeah.
But question number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we
following. Well, I love this question. I love this question. Following his decision to welcome the death process, how did you allow your emotions to move through you? I think that's an excellent question.
So, yeah, it was, of course, I was wanting to be strong for him and having to kind of put into the back a little bit my own loss, my own grief. But I had my moments where I would write. So for me, writing is very cathartic. It's very healing for me. And it's a way that I move through my emotions. Channel writing is part of that. So finding those outlets, like I did meditation when I could meditate. I was doing Reiki. I was doing energy work. I was doing, all of those things that supported me and supported him. Because when I was doing Reiki on him, I was getting Reiki. When I was meditating with him, I was getting the benefit of the meditation with him. And so a lot of what I did was I continued to try to keep being very conscious of moving through my body and not just completely stuffing, which is really easy to do when you're 24/7 dealing with somebody who's in hospice or, who's leaving. You're on high alert and you're paying attention to every breath, every moment. And yet I made sure that I was finding those outlets, as simple as they may seem. They were hugely cathartic. So I wrote every day. I was writing every day. I would find a minute to sit down and just write a few things about the day and what was happening that day. And I actually started it kind of as a love letter to him. So I was writing a love letter to him and I would read it to him periodically. I'd sit down and I would read to him. And that was a way for me to kind of let him know and release together the emotions that I was going through and experiencing. So that was part of it, was just that ability to find those outlets that still supported me, even amidst all of the emotion that was happening. And then, of course, afterwards, I really let loose and really allowed the tears, allowed the gut-wrenching crying. I knew that I had to go through so much of that process, but I allowed it. It's like instead of stuffing it and trying to be strong, right? Which actually I was strong. It wasn't about that. It was about the allowance of what I was feeling in the moment. And then writing and just allowing flow through of energy, right? Of tears, of writing, of awareness, of connection, of, spirit, of God, Jesus. Like I was so surrounded by my guides and beings and Jesus, and that I took advantage of those moments and connections every chance I could. And even in that, I will tell you guys, when I was diagnosed with cancer 20 months later, part of what my body was sharing with me was I had held so much of my grief in the tissue. Like that was where I stored it. It was breast cancer. So I had stored it in the breast tumor. And so talking to my body, then I went through a whole nother discovery of, okay, wow. So my body's talking to me. My body's sharing information with me. My body's trying to tell me something that I need to pay attention to. And I know there's a deeper message. So I actually talked to my body cells. I talked to my cancer cells. I talked to the whole process that I was going through in discovering, okay, so what's the next step? What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? How do I need to step into the power and empowering myself to make the decisions that I needed to make? Because some of it was very contrary to traditional methods, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking to our body, listening to our body is the most important thing. I remember, and I was sharing with someone recently that I had, when I first started to become aware that I got to make choices on my own.
Right.
And that all the things that I had stuffed as well, which I had really bad anxiety, I had asthma, I had the whole thing, and my body was giving me signals all the time. And I was like, I don't know that you exist. Okay. And so, so what I did was, my practice was, when I first started to realize that I had been betraying myself for so long, that I started just kind of dropping my head down and speaking to my heart and saying, hey, what do you want? What do you need? And once I started doing that, then my body started to relax. It started to trust me more. It started to communicate with me better so that I could, understand it. And I could feel my feelings better and know the better choices to make. So I'm very attuned, to anything that's going on inside of me, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy to get those signals and then go, but I kind of want this thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's that's excellent. Oh my gosh, Holly Bird is here with us. It's truly amazing experience when you can let go and be there for someone while they are moving on. As an aging counselor, specializing in hospice, a death doula for over 20 years, I've also seen many that wanted to go and it wasn't time. So I'm so excited to read about your experience.
Thank you, Holly.
Boy. She'll get a lot out of that.
That's beautiful, Holly. Yes. And, Holly, you may also, have people that you could, refer this book to and let them know about it as well. Since you're in that kind of realm as it is. And again, I'm going to share that with us all. Also, again, 20 Days Changed Everything by Becki Koon. You can find it out there on Amazon. Excuse me.
It'll definitely help move some energy. That's for sure.
Yep. For sure.
One of the benefits I like, that's just me personally, I like it when any limiting beliefs I have get released or swept away when they're needed. And there were plenty about death that I haven't even addressed yet, like a lot of people, that Becky's book helped me to move through and address without even having to do anything. All I had to do was participate in her experience and was introduced to the process at a very intimate level. And it really leveled me up. It leveled me up. It made me less afraid. It made me less afraid by being willing to go into it and feel those things. And that's just to emphasize that makes me want to emphasize another point Becki had said, which was don't be afraid to feel it. Allow yourself to feel whatever you have to feel. And I am 100% all about allowing yourself to feel whatever you have to feel. It's not always easy, but it's definitely the straightest path through things for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I have to say, and I want to give kudos to you guys for what you do through As You Wish, because you've opened the door for so many of us who have something in us. We have something to share, and yet to find an avenue to do that it's not easy. And the encouragement that you guys have given me to keep writing and to keep sharing has been tremendous and deeply appreciated, because it's also been part of my healing, you guys, is that you have been there to help me walk through the journeys that I've walked through. In fact, I was writing my first story with you guys while I was doing that process with Jack in that 20 days. So the first collaborative book I did with you guys was being finalized while that process was going on. So I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you for who you guys are and how you show up for us as authors to support us in those journeys, because a lot of us have these beautiful journeys, these intense lifetimes that, it's nice to be able to say, you're not alone. Like somebody somewhere is going to recognize a connection to what I share and to what all the other authors we've written books with you guys have to share, and in the collaborative book. So anyway, thank you.
You are just
my way. I just love you guys so much. So thank you for helping me.
Well, we love you right back. We love all of our authors, and we think they're all pretty freaking amazing.
I know.
And you're just so good.
A beautiful group of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our passion. Thank you, Becki.
Yeah. Let me do some of these. Yeah. So Holly said she'll share her book with her folks. Joe's saying, here, Todd.
Thank you.
The Laura is also saying, during your diagnosis, this is a question, and treatment, did you have people that you leaned on, or did you shield those around you?
It's interesting because I live in an area where not a lot of family members, I don't have a lot of family members around. Not that they weren't supportive, because my family was totally supportive, but I did lean on my friends, my healer friends. I did a tremendous amount of alternative healing and therapies. And so I accepted every offer that came to me. I allowed love to come to me. I had to let go of I can do this, I'm tough, I don't need that, I don't need that support, right? No, I did. And it was through the love of everyone who came to support me and help me through that I continued to find strength. I continued to find inspiration. And I was able to continue to then keep writing, keep going, and recognize that I wasn't done, right? That lives were being impacted just by me living and making the decisions I was making. And so writing that journey, writing that process, I knew would help others as well, because what do? My journey wasn't passage. My journey was to discover what I needed to discover and do what I had to do to walk through it and then be on the other side of it now. And I've been cancer-free now 2.5 years. Surgery was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, June 30th. And so I leaned on people. I leaned on friends and loved ones, and I allowed them to give to me. I accepted what they offered.
That's huge.
It is.
That's I think I think that part is also incredibly healing, you know, of just saying yes and saying, yeah, this is out of my full capacity.
Yeah.
Help me.
I
And
was so humbled. I was so humbled by how much love people have and the capacity we all have to experience that depth and that love for another. It's a beautiful thing when we allow it.
Allowing again. Awesome. This has been so incredible. Holly is saying so true, Becki Koon. Oh my god.
My memory is telling me that there, from things I've looked at long ago in like some of the earlier spiritual books, I don't know, maybe it was Abraham Hicks, I don't know where it was, but I remember there being, maybe it was Louise Hay, but I remember there being a relationship between our ability to embrace receiving and how we're doing in our minds, emotions, and bodies too. You know, I can't comment on it at all. I just remember that some people have written about there being a relationship between that in terms of our ability to receive, and it may be affecting things like our health or things like that. I'm not saying this has anything to do with you, Becki, but I just know that I've seen that before, and it kind of pinged me as we talked about allowing and receiving just now.
Yeah, and I think Susan Ray often speaks about that because she walked through breast cancer as well, and she's another one of our authors. She's primarily been in collaboration books, and she feels as though the reason why she attracted that experience into her life was because she didn't ask for help. She pushed felt herself to the threads, you know, and didn't you know, just was always there for everyone all the time. And she does bring that correlation in for herself. And I've seen that with other clients that I've had as well. They've just put themselves to the tethers, and then suddenly this thing just stops them, and they have to manage that emotionally and physically. And some say goodbye. They use it as an opportunity to walk out. And some of them go, no, I got something to say, and I'm not done. And I'm so glad that you still have things to say.
Well, me too. I'm on the other side now, you know, and I'm like, wow. I have so much life in me. You guys, I actually feel better than I felt since.
I know you look amazing. You're so vibrant. Yeah. I remember you were going through that whole process, and we had a deadline for some manuscript for collaboration book, and I was like, yeah, you're gonna meet that deadline, right?
I had COVID.
You know, that's something to focus on. You know,
that's what I was like. I don't know if I'm going to meet the deadline. I am so like I'm not. And you know what? You encouraged me, and I did it. I did it.
You did. Like, I mean, like when we look back at we've had people that meet their deadline during a hurricane, where they lose half their house. We've had people have had brain surgery. Somehow they have made the deadline. And I'm like, you know, like I said, something to focus on.
I found the strength to do it, and it worked great, right?
Let's talk a little bit about publishing.
Sure.
Because now your book, The 20 Days, again, let me pop that back on there. 20 Days Changed Everything is also now, if you don't dig Amazon, if you don't want to do Amazon, it is up on Barnes & Noble. So if you want to get your paperback copy from Barnes & Noble, you can definitely do it there as well. If you have a bookstore in your area, Barnes & Noble or something like that, you can always go and request the book from them. And that would also help her getting the word out and spreading this message that is so incredibly important. So let's head over to these questions. Todd?
Well, where do we leave off?
We'll just do this.
Okay, just the
Yeah.
which ones?
Yeah.
Why don't you just go ahead?
All right. How did you address your fears or doubts about publishing your book?
Oh, that's a good question because because I shared such intimate details of my life. I had to go through my own coming to Jesus, saying,
Right.
okay, am I really supposed to be doing this? Am I really supposed to be sharing this? Because I had the awareness that some of my family, and it was mostly for me, it was mostly family and friends. I was worried about how I might be perceived, if people were going to judge me, if people were going to, say, oh, Becki, you're just whatever. Because I tend to
Just
be,
being woo-woo.
I
Yeah.
tend to be that in my family. So, anyway, I had to walk through that. But what I realized is that, but Becki, it's not about you. Like, okay, you're writing about your life and you're writing it from a very vulnerable place, but it really ultimately is not just your story, because we're all connected and we all have experiences to share. And when you're given the gift to be able to write it down and put it out there, then who am I to not, right? Who am I to not share? And so that's what I had to get to, because I did go through that. I don't know. That's a lot of details that are going to be exposed and out there. And in the second book, especially, I again went through that process with the second book, because there's some very intimate details of my life, and yet recognizing that somebody out there needed to read it. There was a reason I felt so compelled to write it, and there's a reason that I felt so compelled to get it out there, despite my own fear. And tell you, and now stepping back, and now I can step back with wisdom, because I've got a few years under my belt with you guys, is that every person I ever talk to who comes to me and talks to me about the book and them reading the book, they've gained something. Like, there's been a piece, or there's been a discovery, or there's been, thank you, Becki, for writing it. I couldn't tell it to anybody, but I don't feel so crazy, or I don't feel so alone. So if you can step out of your own stuff, your own fears, and realize that somebody out there needs what you have to share, because we are all connected, and all of it, we have similar experiences, if not the same, but similar. So that helps me.
Excellent. Yeah.
Great answer. I share the same philosophy about, that's why I challenge myself to do my vulnerability in my own way with my writing, because I know that the deeper I can dig on for myself, the more likely someone may be able to resonate with it and find it useful, which is a worthwhile pursuit, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, because we're giving voice to those who maybe can't, and recognizing that that's a beautiful gift. That's such a beautiful gift to give someone.
Wonderful. So what advice would you give to new writers hesitant to start their publishing journey?
Just keep writing. Just even if it's just journals or notebooks or little note cards, because I had, over the course of my life, I've always been writing things. It's that part's in me. But they're, a journal here, notes here, notes there. And all of those helped come together to help me create. So just keep writing. That's it. Just write and
do it.
Do it. And let go of and try to step out of fear, because the writing is such a gift. It's your source. It's spirit. It's others channeling through you. It's information coming through you. You're this beautiful channel that gets to take your hand to the computer or to pen and paper and channel that beautiful wisdom that comes through. And somewhere along the line, you may get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to put it out there because it may help somebody, even if it's only one person. And I tell you what, I've had several clients who found me through the book, who found me through, some of my connections. and I've been able to support them in some very challenging processes of death and of loved ones. And even if it was just for that one person, it was so worth it. It was so worth my discomfort or my questioning myself, and moving through it. So, and you guys make it so easy. You guys make it so easy to start that journey. You really do. You've got these beautiful collaborative books. I would suggest, start with a collaborative, do a short story, get your writing juices flowing and get used to having a story out there. And that helped me a lot. And then going into my own book, because I'd written several collaboratives by the time I wrote.
Yeah. Still doing it.
Still doing it.
So, oh my gosh, this is so good. I'm so excited. What do you feel is the most rewarding part of transforming your manuscript into a published book?
I think the most powerful part for me is to recognize that I said yes. Because when you actually see it, it's when you got it papers and writing and you're in the thick of it, right? You're just doing, and you're living it and breathing it and you're doing it. But to actually see it in form, like when you guys give us the form and it's like, this is what it's going to look like. And then you start working on the cover and you start seeing the cover, it becomes real. And you recognize that, wow, I said yes to that. I said yes to stepping in and making this happen. And it was a very powerful moment for me to say, way to go.
Oh yeah. It is the coolest part. Like when we transform a manuscript into a book where it's like, let's flip that page, it's like the coolest thing ever.
So it makes it real. It's real. It's so I really did this. Yeah.
And that's we're like nerds for that too. Like we both wrote our own books, and I had that similar thing as you did. Like, I'm gonna put this out there.
Yeah.
In a book, it's a tome. It's forever. It's a legacy. It's in stone.
Doesn't go away now.
I know. I better double down at this point. But I always think I always tell people when they're writing their book to always keep it, either write it in the book somewhere in the copyright or somewhere that just says, I'm still in process.
Oh,
I might change my mind on these things. I might get new information, but
we're continually evolving.
We're evolving, and it's okay to evolve. It's okay to change your mind. And I think sometimes people get hung up on that. Like, I shouldn't write my book because what if I change my mind later? And it's like, you're going to change your mind later. It's okay. Write a new book.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Or
keep
do
going.
a revision.
Or do a revision. Yeah. Let's see, what else do I got here? Anything else? Let's see. Oh, no, I think, I do want to ask you about your promotions before we go. But before I do, I want to just say, Pandora, Tyler are the best. I loved working with them. We loved working with you too, girlfriend. Joe is saying, this is a good question. My struggle is not with, or information here. My struggle is not with writing, but with marketing. Growing up, I felt the need to stay hidden, and even after much therapy, elements of that linger.
Yeah.
It really doesn't even matter who you are, or if you never experienced that growing up. Marketing your book, putting yourself out there,
it's the toughest thing
hard
for every author. It's the toughest thing because that's just not. We tend to be introverts, unless you're Becki, and I think you're introvert, Becki. But we tend to have, we're focused on our messages. We don't have the expertise, most of us, to be putting ourselves out there, and it's just not something that we do. Like, and let me put it another way. A lot of us writers aren't marketers first. So so a lot of us are having to learn how to market ourselves after having gotten the courage to write something down and publish it. So it's common. You're not alone, Joe, for sure.
No, and we'll walk with you in that. We got your
Mhm.
back, buddy.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Delora said, I kid you not, one of the items on my vision board this year was a page turning corner. Very good. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, Delora. Like I said, she's thinking about joining us with Guided by Spirit.
Great. Yep.
That's asyouvishpublishing.com/collaboration. Check it out. Be a part of one of our collaborative books. Like Becki said, good place to start. Dip your toe in
Yep.
without having to go in the deep end and do it by yourself. We do it all together, and it's a blast.
It
We
is a
have
lot of fun. Mhm.
party. We have games and prizes and
Mhm.
all that stuff. All you have to do is write it and give it to us, and we'll copy edit it. You do not have to be a writer, just a writer. Just let that go, because people think they have to be this Harvard educated, English lit. No.
No. This company was founded to help people who haven't exercised their voice to give them a voice.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so most people haven't even been published before or written anything. And those are the kinds of people we enjoy working with. People who haven't done this before. And that's what a collaboration book is best used for, is to get out there for your first time.
Yeah. And Joe says, thanks.
Mhm.
You're welcome, Joe.
No,
All right,
and one of the things real quick that really helped me too in that process is just realizing that I was the expert of my own story. So writing your story, right? Writing your own story. No one else is expert but you. You are it. And so you are the one who is expert witness. And so I encourage you, Joe. You are the amazing expert with your story.
So glad you brought up that point. Your experience, anyone's experience, is irrefutable. No one can argue it. So write that book,
Yeah.
Especially if it has your experiences in it.
And Joe has written a phenomenal fictional book, and we're publishing that in it.
Oh, that's awesome. Phenomenal.
It is weaving spiritual principles in and out. It's absolutely
it was channeled.
So I cannot wait to get this one on the shelves as well.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, we'll let everyone know about it as soon when it's time.
I'm sure you channeled. I'm sure you were channeling Joe.
Yeah. I think he knows he was channeling too. Yeah. Thanks, Becki. Yeah. Even though my novel is a fantasy, a lot of it reflects my journey. Yeah. Cool. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. I'm turning red. He's adorable. Just love him.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being. Yeah.
And let's see, we've got a promotion. You're telling them, all of our beautiful, amazing watchers, maybe you're on replay right now, that if you mention this program, Becki's on Becki's website, contact me form, you can receive $25 off a soul experiencing Reiki session. I want to play. Numerous holy fire Reiki training classes coming up this fall, starting in September as well. Yeah. So, do you want to talk about your sessions or anything like that?
I'll talk. Yeah, let me talk a little bit, because they're Reiki's kind of the foundation that I've worked with for a lot of years in my life and with friends and family and as a profession. But it really truly is the foundational piece. And after Jack passed, and I stay in communication and connection with him, and a lot of spirit guides and beings started coming through. It's like the portal opened up, and that divine connection I have with him was able to support me in being safe enough to allow some of that to come through. And so I work very closely with Jesus and Jack and other guides in session now. And so it's fairly interactive. Like, my sessions are fairly interactive, and that you're not just, and I do them online. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? It's all energy. So, I do a lot of online work, but it's, I'm usually, maybe receiving information. We are doing Reiki. We're also doing energy movement. We're also doing maybe connection to any messages that might come through for someone, or if they have something they're seeking, and we'll kind of dive in and see what we can come up with. So they're very unique to each person, very different. Even if I've worked with somebody for several years, every session is so different because we are in the moment, right? They happen in that moment. So they're fun. They're fun. They're amazing. I hold space for people to be able to dive pretty deep. And so that's the soul experience, right? That's that part of the session that I absolutely love. I'm so honored because guess what? I get to see people in their soul essence, and I get to help them see that in themselves. And it's so amazing.
That's got to be fulfilling.
I feel it with you every time we talk or connect. I'm like, I'll
have what she's having.
I
love sharing. So let's just all have that, right?
That's right. Let's all have good stuff. Okay. What about your Holy Fire Reiki training classes?
I have, we'll make an announcement on the website. So if you want to just come to my website, periodically check in. We're going to be listing trainings. And so a lot of what we're doing right now is in person, but we can also set up distance training sessions if people are interested. So that's just something that is continuing to happen. I do animal Reiki. I'm an animal Reiki person. So we do animal Reiki classes. We do Reiki 1 and 2. We do Reiki Master, Karuna Reiki. I mean, there's just a lot of different avenues people can start getting their feet wet, their toes, dipping their toes in the water, and doing some of that energy work. Mm-hmm.
I put your website up on our place. It's BeckiKoon.com,
mm-hmm.
BECKIKOON.com, and also to please check out her book 20 Days Changed Everything, out on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Do you have anything else before we wrap up here? Anything else you'd like to mention or say?
I just want to say to anybody who sees this, you have something to share with the world. You're still breathing. You're still here. There is a reason, and it's a beautiful thing when you can find it within you to share that experience, whether you write it, whether you do a piece of art, whether you do it through service to others in other ways, or volunteer work, or just loving your family and giving someone a hug or a smile. That's the best way for us to be able to continue to spread light and lift each other up. And so, yeah, I just encourage everybody to find those moments.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Todd, is there anything you would like to say?
I'm so thankful. This has been amazing. Becki, you're always so great to talk to, and the content has been flowing so beautifully. And I think anybody who watches this is going to get an energy download for one,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of great messages of empowerment. So thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys, I love you.
Dolores says, yes, love you. And let's see who else said. Thank you all for a wonderful evening of sharing, caring, and wonderful laughter. Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you for all of you guys who visited with us and who made some comments. Joe and Delora, Pandora, Holly, Mayum dropped in. So thank you guys for joining us live here. And we're going to be doing these every Thursday night. We're going to be doing our author interviews. So look for us in the future weeks. And if you want to join a collaboration book, asyouwishpublishing.com/collaboration, Guided by Spirit is open now. And other than that, you can always join us for a free 15-minute kind of discovery session, touching base session, if you want to talk a little bit more about the book, the project that you're working on as well. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
MVSC, July 1st.
Oh, yes. So we have a manuscript validation score certificate that is available for those of you who are wanting to vet your manuscript for clarity, readability, accessibility, all that kind of stuff, to help you to get clear on some positive feedback as well as some really constructive suggestions that will help you with your manuscript moving forward. We have that for free. Put in good stuff, capital letters, number 24. Good stuff 24 in the discount code area, and that will give you that validation for free. And even if you only got a couple of chapters written, that's okay. You can certainly come out and put it in there, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. So much for joining us. We love you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Becki.
You're welcome.